Bob is our alternate media guy. We don't even know if that's his name. We don't know where he comes from. We don't know where he's been. But he rings in from time to time with some interesting stuff and keeps us thinking outside our square. And he's on the phone now. G'day, buddy.
Hey, how are you, Luke?
Good, thank you, Bob. You all right?
Oh, mate, yeah. Just flat out busy, News never stops, does it?
No, it doesn't. I was thinking about you on the weekend, and please don't think I lie awake thinking about you, Bob, please.
It's okay if you do.
But with the 20th anniversary of September 11, and as I said earlier, I was on air on another radio station bringing that story to the listeners of Sydney that day. What an experience that was. Mike, I'm still sort of affected by it. But how quickly 20 years has gone, and that's why we went into Afghanistan. That's why the Americans went in there to try and shut down terrorism. 20 years on, Bob, and I know this isn't why you rang. I'll get onto your topic in a second. But 20 years on, what have we learnt? And is the world still at... could that happen again?
Well, the interesting thing, so just recently, the Biden drone striked a terrorist. And it ended up coming out that the terrorist was actually an aid worker, and instead of putting bombs in the back of the truck, he was actually loading water barrels, and the drone strike killed him and his 6 children. So the reason why I'm mentioning this is there's a big difference between the official narrative of this guy's a terrorist, we need to drone strike him, and the reality of the situation. And this was sort of proven with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, by the way, who's still in jail. As to the video that came out with the Apache helicopter, right? So the official narrative of these people are terrorists, we need to go in and get them, sometimes it's true, by all means. But other times, it's just propaganda. There's other reasons why they want to go into these sort of places, and it's never exactly what they say. And to be honest, look, to be honest, I think everybody would be better off if everybody just worried about their own country. That $2 trillion that Biden spent on bombing Afghanistan. How many schools, how many roads, how many water purification plants?
Exactly, Bob. Couldn't agree with you more. However, if you sit back and just worry about your own backyard, what about those people who aren't happy with their backyard and want a bigger backyard? For example, 1979, why did Russia invade Afghanistan? And would Russia have been interested in Afghanistan and Kuwait and those surrounding countries if there wasn't so much oil there? Question.
Well, the reason Russia has a particular interest in Afghanistan at the moment, I don't know what the situation was back in 1978, but at the moment, Russia is interested in Afghanistan because they want to run a pipeline from Russia through that area up to Iran and out to the other side of Europe so that they can supply the UK and France and Germany and all that with natural gas.
Yeah, it's all about real estate, and it's all about what's under the ground, the wealth under the ground. They think we're stupid. But anyway, let's move on. There was something else you wanted to talk to us about this morning.
Yeah, so interesting story. We heard about this several months ago, and it sort of went under the radar. I even managed to miss it myself, actually, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
I know. But I was going to say, but at the end of the day, the government now wants to bring in so that whenever...
Uh-oh. Your line's gone. Alternate media, Bob. ASIO's intercepted the phone call. Jess?
Yep, sorry. I just lost you there for a sec. The government wants to bring in so that when you access the internet and social media, you now have to prove your identity. You have to go through and link your passport or your driver's license or some sort of photo ID.
Yeah, so an identity passport to use the internet. Look, you sent me a story on the weekend, and the story was actually covered on the Today Show some time ago. Here's a little of what Bob sent me on the weekend.
Crackdown on social media abuse is being considered by the federal government. For more, Nine's Oliver Haig joins us live in Adelaide. Ollie, how will it work?
Lila, good morning. Essentially, it will work the same as a passport. Australians forced to submit 100 points of identification like their driver's licence or passport when using social media accounts like Facebook and Twitter. Now, police would have access to those social media accounts, and it's all part of a crackdown on online abuse. Now, users could be liable for defamation suits or even criminal prosecution, and it's all part of a plan hoping to deter people from engaging in bad behaviour. Now, the recommendations were handed down by a federal parliamentary inquiry. They're reforms that are being considered by the Morrison government, with the chairman saying there is merit to remove the veil of being anonymous.
So there you go. Because all the drama surrounding cyberbullying and that sort of thing is people who can be anonymous on social media, but also harassment and people sending unwanted texts, for example. Craig Kelly, hello. So if you cannot hide behind anonymity and you need an internet passport to use the internet, would it make the internet safer? There's the question, Bob.
No, it wouldn't, because, to be honest, people like me would find ways around it anyway. And people that are going to be harassing and bullying anybody, I don't, obviously, but anybody else, there's always ways around it, right? So it's not going to stop that.
So how would these passports work?
You would have to go through and you'd have to get some sort of ident card that would have some sort of number on it or something like that. But my problem with this isn't so much this part of it, right? It's a case of we're going to have a passport to access the internet. You know, we've got QR codes where we need to check in to supermarkets and convenience stores and whatnot. You know, we've been told that, you know, these QR codes are going to stick around even after COVID. New South Wales has confirmed that themselves. You know, we seemingly are losing our freedoms in a country because Big Brother is creeping ever and ever forward. And to be honest, I don't see a lot of Australians standing up saying, well, hang on, this is a problem. We can't even access the internet now without showing who we are or without proving who we are to the government. You know, we can't even access a supermarket without asking the government if it's okay if we can enter or prove that we've entered like even in South Australia at the moment, we covered this last week or so, they're going to ring you 15 times and you have to scan your face within a certain time to prove that you're still home if you have COVID and you're in quarantine.
I understand that is really Big Brother watching us. But is it for our own? Let me play devil's advocate. Is it for our own good? Plenty of people are supposed to be quarantining and they're not. They're going out. They're shopping. They're going about the community. Is it ultimately to keep the rest of us safe?
Well, the question...
For example... I was going to say, for example, an ankle bracelet for somebody who is on parole and they're still considered possibly a danger to the community. So they have to wear an ankle bracelet so that we know where they are. Is it sort of that sort of stuff, but for innocent people?
Well, wearing an ankle bracelet because you've possibly committed a crime is vastly different than having to prove the internet who you are so that you can access the internet. You're literally trying to link there a person who's actually... And ankle bracelets are only for the most serious offences, right? It's murderers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're people that are dangerous to the community.
Okay, but what if somebody has got COVID and they've been told they have to stay at home, quarantine, the government dialing up and scanning their face to make sure they're home? Is that for the safety of the greater community?
Eventually, we're going to have to sit down and say, is the outcome of all these lockdowns and all these security and everything that we're suffering right now, is it worse than the treatment?
Yeah.
Is like suicides in Australia have jumped like 223% or something. You know, people are losing their houses, people are losing their mortgages or their businesses. Like you said earlier today, we've got farmers who can't even get their crops harvested because of these border closures. And you know, it's a case of how many freedoms do we want to give? You go back to the good old days of China or Germany during the 1930s and 1940s. Everything that they did was for your protection. All these approaching freedoms that we seemingly lose time after time, it's always for your protection.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. However, we have CCTV cameras everywhere. It's very hard to make a move in any capital city without you being caught on camera somewhere. And just remember, everyone's got a Medicare card, which is linked to a database, a national government database, and even your driver's license has your photo on it. So maybe it's too hard to stop. But it's something to think about, Bob, and I thank you for sending me that email, mate.
No problem, buddy. No problem, anytime.
Always good to talk to you. Thank you. There you go. Bob thinks it's going too far. Do you think an internet passport is a good idea? So you cannot open a Twitter account, a Facebook account, any social media account. You will not be able to use the internet unless you are a registered user, so people know who you are and what you're looking at, and they know what you're posting. Is that a good thing, or is it going too far? Very good topic, Bob. Thanks for bringing it up. I never know when we'll hear from him again. We don't know his phone number. He just comes out of the ether and then goes back off into it. But there you go. It's a very interesting topic. Internet passports, good thing or not? You're listening to The Night Shift on Triple M.